Hello, thank you for clicking into Fight for Alzheimer's with Alzheimer's. The video I'm putting out today, which perhaps will be 8 or 9 minutes long, I have to say, not really intended for children. There's some material here that's a little bit extreme or explicit, so maybe you want to keep this to the adults. Also, I would like to make it clear, this video in no way is intended to upset, discredit or malign any of the carers. In either of the homes my dad's been in, generally he's received a very good level of attention and care from carers. This video is really a challenge to management at the homes, well, at the second home, who've let my dad down appallingly badly. Social services also lame. Obviously the management of the corporation providing the care for my dad. And also to the Hoax POA duo, who specialise in absence of process, and who, visit my father between them 3 or 4 times a month, probably typically 30 or 40 minutes. Yeah, pretty lame. So that's the outline of this video. I'm going to start off by reading a letter that I sent to the care provider on Saturday. So this will be 2 or 3 minutes, if you can bear with me. Pretty strong but important. I call this email Abject Hygiene Standards Unacceptable. Although this is my second email focusing on hygiene standards after raising concerns around my dad's multiple falls earlier in the week. A little intro first. My father was admitted to your home after contracting a urinary tract infection, which he's susceptible due to water retention in the bladder in his first home. It seems strange to me that after 3 weeks in hospital his needs were upgraded, but there we are. I'm confident that you understand that UTI infections will often lead to violence, so certainly but not exclusively, hygiene is crucial around my father. I'm going to give you some examples from my journal of where dad, and therefore everybody's safety and security, have been jeopardised through poor attitude or policy. August 6, 2019. This was the week after 2 falls. On entering dad's room, it was obvious that the night had been very messy. No cleaning had been attempted, and there was a puddle by dad's sink. Returning after the cleaner had been in, and down on my hands and knees to put dad's feet on his circulation booster, I could see that there was still faeces in multiple areas on the floor. August 12. Arrived after 12, dad's room in a terrible state. October 23rd. I found an intruder in dad's bathroom. She left some hygiene problems that, had I not recognised, could have been very serious for dad. Brackets, clearly no blame on the resident. December 4th. Re-entering dad's room after a mid-afternoon walk, I found a male resident in the corner of dad's room plucking large balls of excrement from his anus and placing them on dad's chest of drawers. Brackets, with reduced radar for danger and sensors, the possibilities are unthinkable if I hadn't been present. December 9th. After walking with dad, upon returning to his room, the same resident in exactly the same position was urinating on dad's chest of drawers. Again, what happens if that's not spotted? This is completely unsafe for dad. December 20th. Resident urinating in the foyer area, seen by a nurse, and yet no effort at cleaning was made in more than 30 minutes. Apathy around this lovely but hazard-prone chap building. During these times, and certainly after dad's falls in your home, brackets, first falls ever, I emailed management several times to give them the heads up on my father and his needs. While I was the closest to him, and having moved back into my childhood home after mum's death to take primary care over almost 200 nights, I think my experience and insight should have been valued and utilised. However, your team didn't care for my input, instead trying to pigeonhole dad's needs within more convenient boundaries. This was always going to be counterproductive and put my father in hugely magnified jeopardy. Can you please tell me why I had to go through social services after falls to even get a sensor mat in dad's room so that night staff knew when he was up and about? He had a sensor in the lower grade previous home. And could you please tell me why I couldn't get a lock on Dad's bedroom door that would have made things safer for everybody and certainly would have lightened the workload on your staff? In my only face-to-face conversation with the home manager herself, she told me that immobile residents were in more danger during the night and that hourly checks on Dad were ample. She also told me that cleaners can't be expected to get everything in one go. Finally, she spoke of the Mental Capacity Act, trying to baffle me with science, talking about deprivation of liberty. The thing here is that best interest overrides all in the Mental Capacity Act, as I now know, having studied it in response to those comments from your manager. So finally, I ask you this question. Where are you and your policies and attitudes in line with anybody's best interest here? My father pays £6,000 per month for this accommodation and care, to share a public space with other incontinent dementia victims and to endure medical, hygiene and safety levels that I wouldn't accept for a criminal. Sorry, one moment. Okay, please keep my references here in proportionate context. These are just the scenarios I noted. To document all, I would have needed a secretary. Until being barred, I passed typically 8 to 10 hours a week in your home. There are 168 hours in a week, so I'm being kind if I say I was there 10% of the time. Just what exactly haven't I seen and been made aware of beyond multiple falls? Note here that on the Care Quality Commission site you have 24 homes requiring improvement, and that's with a less than robust system of monitoring. I would appreciate some answers to my concerns, thank you. So that's the letter that I sent. I'm just going to talk about a few subjects, moving on from that, maybe ask a few questions. Okay, so just to go back a little bit, after the first time I spotted an intruder using my father's bathroom, I was told by management that I could no longer speak to them about safety or hygiene concerns as I wasn't POA, and I must go through the POAs if I want to do that. Total reversal to previous conversations, and to me a direct result of the fact that social services overruled them in my favour with regards to that sensor map. Quickly I told them, well, I can't go to a home where I haven't got a voice, where I'm expected to be complicit and silent and tolerate and watch the type of things that are going on around my father. I spoke to social services in Wilmslow and set up a meeting. On arriving for that meeting, which I believe was between myself and social services, the care service providers had decided that 3 managers, including the area manager, would be present, despite the fact that the manager who previously had made such silly communications to me, even in email, about how I didn't have a voice and I couldn't discuss my concerns, despite the fact that she was off and from that point was off for about 3 months, 3 managers were sent: unit manager, deputy manager, area manager. What's that all about? Why did you have to sabotage my meeting with social services in Wilmslow? Just creating distraction and subterfuge. Not good. Maybe somebody could explain that to me. Okay, going back to hygiene. Obviously the 2 emails have been about hygiene and falls. The 2 go together. Where hygiene is poor, the likelihood of falls is much stronger. Whether that be something that's left on the floor, perhaps that's what accounted for some of my dad's falls already. We don't know. There's no CCTV in this place, which is a question I'd like to throw out there. Do we think that these places should have CCTV? For my money, how are you going to learn anything about people that you've not got under observation if you haven't got cameras? And at this type of money, really, we can't afford CCTV? Whose interest is that in? Obviously, the idea of my father being alone in his room with intruders is cataclysmic. Aggression, falls, hygiene, everything. I don't believe for 1 minute the claims from the home that my dad likes to spend time in his room. Nonsense. Just the only way they could possibly fight my idea of getting a lock on that door. My dad, in more than 90 visits to 2 homes, has been found once in his room, and that was an early visit when I got there about 11 and he was having a little bit of breakfast with a tray. Never seen him spending time in his room. It doesn't even occur to him to go spend time in his room. There's no television. There's nothing for him to do there. If you go into his room, well, I would say it's because he needs a toilet, but it isn't. He doesn't. He's not got the wherewithal to even conceive of that or to find his way to his room. Total smokescreen. Yeah, that room being open is there for other guests, other residents. It's of no interest to my father, therefore it's of no real benefit to anybody. Going back to hygiene here again, I have to say, all them visits, quite often I took hand wash, hand gel for my father, because I know that fairly often he will eat with his hands as much as he will with knife and fork. I never saw a member of staff washing anybody's hands prior to meals. And I can genuinely say that 30 to 40% of the time, many of these residents will be eating with their hands more than cutlery. Just damn poor. And I think, events of the last months, probably show just how cataclysmic and counterproductive this is, because, as we know, there's been an outlandish number of deaths in care homes, etc. I want to talk about broken tiles on the entrance to the unit, which were left degrading for more than 6 months before that area was cordoned off. Obviously, it would have been more of a concern if people were ever walked in this home in the beautiful grounds. But again, in 90 visits, sorry, not 90, 30 were at the first time, in 60 visits, I think I saw one resident being walked on one occasion. That's the reality of the beautiful grounds and the beautiful marketing and brochure and presentation. No true desire or will to exercise these people and improve their well-being and morale. So my question is, I don't know how other people feel. I feel my father, he's treated inferior to a criminal. Criminals don't pay £6,000 a month. That's £200 a night to share their cell. Neither do they get caught up with other, incontinent dementia sufferers and all that brings. And neither do they have the multi hygiene and safety challenges my father faces, and the medical negligence that my father faces. So how do we feel about that? Dementia sufferers literally being treated worse than criminals. I suppose the last thing is just to ask the question, what does this say about our society? Is this something that we tolerate, that we go on tolerating? The concept of good people. My father worked all his life, paid taxes all his life, never took anything from the system. Obviously upon the death of my mother, half of the house, half of the estate is my father's, and his money now is ravished at the state of £6,000 a month for this. How do we feel about this whole situation? I can say from my own point of view, I couldn't remain complicit to it. Certainly not as the situation was really degrading in January there. Okay, probably December we had a few more new residents who happened to be on their feet, and naturally enough they went straight for my dad's room just by the virtue of the position my dad's room was in. But how do we really justify this level of degradation and indecency for these poor people? I guess this is my final question. I came to the point where I knew I wasn't achieving anything for my father, and I knew I couldn't achieve anything for him in this climate. I took him out of the home, basically with the point of view, I'm going to take him now, because I ain't coming back to this home. I'm not going to be any part in this absolute crime against my father, violation against my father. That was a tough call, a big decision, one that I put off for a while, but I took that decision in good faith. I would have had my father here, taking him out of there if it had been in any way, shape or form within my powers. I still hope that soon, the whole house of cards here might fall. My objection has now made it to the court of protection, but there's just no knowing how long they will take. The OPG, the Office of the Public Guardian, took 8 months to even get those files over to the court of protection. Will my dad be dead or alive? Will he be in a wheelchair? Will he be maimed? at the point at which I perhaps see him again. Absolutely no clue. Obviously, this channel, amongst other things, hopefully will inspire further conversation down the line. First of all, it's my last desperate hope to try and encourage, help from wherever it may come to move the goalposts here. Whether that be that somebody out there knows something critical that could move the situation, or whether that be that there's a journalist out there who would love to grab hold of this story, because for sure there's a lot more, and I think it's a massive human interest story. Anyway, that's gone on a long time. That's been 15 minutes. If you stuck with it, round of applause. Thank you very much for that. Please subscribe and like. There will be another video following later in the week, but it might be Thursday or Friday. And well, have a nice Monday evening. Thank you.